Yep, this is the R5C, Canon's latest addition to the Cinema EOS line. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As you just saw, this is the R5C. This is a new innovation for Canon. This is actually two cameras in one. And what do I mean by that? You see this switch here? This allows you to use this as a dedicated stills camera or a dedicated cinema camera. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, let's talk about some of the top line specs. The R5C in photo mode has the same 45 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor and Digic X processor as the R5. You have an ISO range of 100 to 51,200, high-speed continuous shooting up to 12 frames per second with mechanical shutter, and silent shooting with your electronic shutter up to 20 frames per second. You have subject detection and tracking autofocus even when shooting with speeds as fast as 20 frames per second. What you all want to hear about is the video specs, so let's get to it. In video mode, the R5C supports non-stop 8K 60p, internal cinema raw light recording thanks to the active cooling system, 8K raw output via HDMI to compatible recorders, a wide variety of recording formats including 8K HDR recording with HLG and PQ, up to 4K 120p slow and fast motion recording mode in 422 10-bit, XF AVC and MP4 codecs, Canon Log 3. You also have 4K and 2K oversampling, enhanced image stabilization, which is an electronic IS, and dual pixel CMOS AF with intelligent tracking and recognition. You also have the Smart Shoe, which takes accessories like Tascam's audio recorder, which gives you 4-channel audio that you can record onto the dual memory card slots. Those dual memory card slots take CF Express Type B cards and SD cards. Now, obviously, you'll be wanting to use V90s for high data rates. The body is only slightly deeper than the R5 because of the cooling fan. As far as IOs, you have a USB-C that can power the camera. You have HDMI micro out, a 3.5 mic jack, a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and you get a timecode port. Now that we've talked about the specs, let's talk about usability in the real world. We only had the camera for a few hours, so we headed over to Echo Park to try the camera for ourselves. We were faced with a few challenges while we were out shooting, one being that the sun was directly overhead because it was the middle of the day, and two, we were trying to stay incognito, so we only had a couple of lenses on us. We started off at the skate park shooting 60p and trying out the electronic image stabilization, which we were really impressed by. Next, we headed over to the lake to try 4K 120 shooting the swan boats and the fountain. Like other camera manufacturers, Canon's now giving you the ability to shoot in full frame, Super 35, or Super 16 modes. And since we were limited on how many lenses we could carry with us, we punched in to get closer to the action in Super 16 mode. Next, we tried out the built-in time-lapse feature. So we shot one frame every 5 seconds for 20 minutes. And I'm not a time-lapse guy, so one of the things that I thought was pretty cool is you can preview your footage in camera without having to stitch everything together in post. Lastly, we did want to use the camera in stills mode, so we hit the switch. It takes a few seconds to switch over the user interface, but once you're there, it's very intuitive. The viewfinder is great for the harsh lighting conditions. We got to experience the animal tracking. We took the photos into post. We're able to punch in. The quality is great, and we're really impressed with what the camera can do in stills mode. Let's talk color. We shot all of this in Canon Log 3, and we used the Canon 3D LUTs. As always, we love the Canon color space. So before we talk price and availability, let's talk about pros and cons and who this camera is for. Now, obviously, there's more pros than we can list, but worth noting is the media types, the frame rates, the recording modes. We also didn't talk about the scopes that it comes with. So you do get waveform, you get false color, and the autofocus is great for those that care about autofocus. So some of the things that we wish were better are that the LPE6NH is cool, right? It's readily available, but it's a little underpowered for what this camera can do. So you're going to have to stock up if you're going to go that route, or you're going to have to use external battery power to not run into that issue. We also aren't crazy about the screen size. Now, it is plenty bright for when we were out in harsh lighting conditions, but it's a little small and can be hard to use, so you might want to look into external monitoring options. The question we always ask ourselves is, who's this camera for? Well, this camera is for today's content creator who doesn't want to compromise between a fully functional cinema camera and a stills camera. The R5C is a perfect combination of both. The Canon R5C is now available for pre-order. It's coming in at $4,499 and starts shipping in March. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more videos like this in the future.